Hello.
Hey, Lisa.
How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Good. Trying to figure it out.
What's the latest in your county?
So we're scheduled to go back face to face on the 8th of September. But our county, it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's just our county, our kids aren't that reliable. So you start off strong. And I think once they figure it out that it's not going to be all this fun, they're going to drop off. So then like, what's next?
Right. Yeah. How do you keep them engaged?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my...
Well, maybe we talked about it last week, but I know we were, and I don't know if you saw it on the Innovate calls, but they were talking about sending supplies home for students to do labs at home, just hands-on, and they are way more likely to show up for synchronous activities if you just send them things to mess with.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Like trying to get to school to try to gather some stuff that that they can come and pick up. I don't know if I'm going to spend money, but really have like, because it adds up. But like 90 kids.
Right, but maybe there's something you can send them home with, like a fold scope or something.
Yeah. Or even I was trying to look at the cell phone, like how the cell phone can be used to like as a microscope, and like even like that the DNA extraction, you can do that home. And I know they're not going to buy the materials, but if I just send home capsules of Dawn detergent and all that stuff.
Send a tube of alcohol and everything else. Yeah. Cool.
Because otherwise they're gonna be bored.
Yeah.
Online learning is kind of boring unless you're really motivated to do it.
That's true. Can't force motivation.
Yeah, you can't. Especially and everything that's going on. People are trying to downplay, but it is a pandemic.
Right. Well, yeah, and then, you don't know who in their family has been affected and like who's in the hospital and
right. Who lost their job? Are they benefits? And now all the foreclosures are going through now, shut-offs.
Yeah.
So to me, it has to be, I don't know, it has to be kind of fun too. We get so caught up in the learning, but I'm like, there's no testing. So let's try to make it
as meaningful as possible.
Yeah.
You can pull in whatever you want.
Yep. There's no testing.
Yeah. Well, and so with the Innovate, you now have all these online resources to kind of pick from and get them to do some online labs and just send you a screenshot or whatever. And
even like some of these like people are reaching out to do some like Zooming calls, like just talking to people, like what's out there for a career, like career calls, because kids don't know. Yeah.
And I'll talk about it again throughout. I wonder where everybody else is.
I know, it's like, I logged in, there was no one here. I'm like, this is the first time I'm on time. And I'm like,
I know, I was getting there. Shoot, what was I gonna say? I'll talk about our like career webinars. So we did the one last Friday with Mark Panton, who does laboratory design.
I saw that.
Yeah, and so we recorded and posted the Zoom thing online. I'll send the website out.
Cool.
And it'll be in the PowerPoint when I send that out too. But we have a couple others that are scheduled. And so you can at least attend those and then play it for your students or schedule with the same people to have them come and speak live to your students.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's like so down on online, but I'm like, I've done Zumba online, cooking online. As long as you have the materials, it's kind of fun because you're still interacting with people and then you don't have to deal with like, you're bothering me.
Right. Well, and you didn't have to drive anywhere. You just show up at the right time.
I like it. I did an online wine tasting. You bought the bottles of wine. Yes, it was kind of cool through Vine, Georgia. And you just like sipped the wine and the cheese. I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Nice. Cool. Well, I'm glad these companies are taking advantage too and figuring out, how
to stay open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking around. Right. Hey, Stan.
What's up? I'm here.
How you doing?
Well, sort of. I don't have my camera working here. Let me see.
Oh, there you go. Okay. It was like a green light.
Yes. Gotcha. Yeah, I've got two screens here. All right. There you go. You get to see my side angle. How y'all doing?
Good.
Hanging in there.
Yeah,
Hey, I
me
have
too.
a question. So we're looking to start a biotech. Like we're gonna apply, we're gonna write up everything to try. How hard is it? Like, do you have to be? Because I know it comes under CTAE, right?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it sure does. But there's a Perkins Loan. You need to write that one down. It's Perkins Loan.
Okay.
It comes from the state, and they've got money set aside specifically for doing these programs, not just biotech. But
Right.
and here's the key too. I learned this: if you can build a new lab, then there's additional money. We're talking about significant money if you build a lab. Now, obviously, you gotta, and it doesn't have to be, we're not talking about a new school. We're talking about find a room.
Right, to retrofit an old lab to make it a new, like, biotech.
You got it. Yeah, and that's what I did for my first 5 years. And then, and it's pretty easy to do. And you can, it was a makeshift lab for me, and I knew it, but I did fine, I did fine with it.
Yeah, because I had a program. I helped develop a program when I was in Boston, because Boston had some money, and you worked with BU and all that for the biotech pipeline for students. But I'm like, you know what? Forget all this like welding. I mean, biotech is like where it's at.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's for entry level, even entry level coming to high school, just pipetting. Our students, making in Boston, it's a little bit higher, but $38,000 pipetting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just a routine skill.
They're dying for high school graduates over here at Decatur, where where we're from, a couple of miles down the road, and these kids are they're completely, it's just it's not even on the radar. And it's like, guys, here's jobs. They'll train you up in 3 years. You can be a supervisor of some sort. Wow. But it is. It's one of these deals where you have to demystify it. It sounds scary to most high schoolers. I'm already taking AP, history. I don't really want to take on biotechnology. Right. Then, so you really have to kind of, I'm constantly fighting against that whole, misnomer that it's rocket science. No, it's biotechnology. Okay. It's mostly skill set stuff. You don't have to be a geneticist, but you're going to learn some genetics. Right. So we try to make it fun, and I'm constantly fighting that battle, but I think it's getting easier. My first several years, all I got were Brainiac kids, which was really fun because it's fun teaching Brainiacs. I mean, you don't have to motivate them too much. But I now have a much better blend, and that's really what we were going for workforce development. Although, some of my Brainiac kids with what they've learned, I have no doubt now they're fired up about genetics and biotechnology, and so they may change the world, So I'll take all comers and try to teach them up as best I can. Cool. Yeah. Hey, Kristen.
Are you muted?
Hi. I'm sorry, I unmuted. No, I'm sorry. I had to take that.
No problem.
Stan, I'm loving the long hair.
Oh yeah, I'm sure my administration's gonna love it.
Charlie finally had a haircut, my husband. Yeah. I got a video of him the other week though, because I was like, it looks like that Prince Charming on the Shrek movie where he like shakes it. So I got a video slow motion. It was great.
Yeah, this is starting to get out of hand here.
Yep,
my wife
likes
it. So yeah, this is getting pretty crazy. So I don't know. Maybe I'll finally be the cool teacher. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure you already had
that category.
Windswept hair. Yeah. You'll just need to wear a motorcycle helmet so you can shake it off every day.
So, yeah, something. Maybe I can ponytail it and really be super cool. We can do bacteria art, bacteria agar art, and then promote the legend.
Psychedelic, man.
All right, so my husband is he grew out his beard since the start of this, and then I couldn't take it anymore, and so he started shaving it, but he had fun with it, and he did what's his name, Burnside, that made sideburns popular.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He did the whole chops.
Yeah, chops. Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
Oh
That is
my
an impressive.
goodness.
Those are some impressive muttons there.
Oh
That's,
my gosh. Yeah. It was hideous.
wow.
My
Wow,
kid loved
Miguel.
it. He let them save him and stuff.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry that stuck in your minds. I shouldn't have done that.
Amazing. Wow, good job, Miguel.
Yeah.
But,
I'll save some moonshine for him when I see him. When I meet him.
I mean, seriously, he's been called everything with all these different looks he's had. So,
Man. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and go through the PowerPoint that I've prepared and start to chat with the two of y'all, and maybe some other people will join us. I don't know. There's a lot going on this week, so maybe everybody's just looking forward to the recording.
Yeah, I was going to say the week before we go back next week, so it's kind of
Oh, wow.
Do you?
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah.
actually go. Well, because everybody else is like pushing it out and. Yikes.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah, I won't. Don't worry. But okay, well, we'll go through this. I'll just leave it in this planning open thing so I can type in it if needed. I know you guys, we've already talked about who you are. So, hey, Lisa. Hey, Stan.
Hey.
Hey.
I think we've talked about fall plans at this point, especially between you guys. So feel free to place stuff in the chat if you want to talk about it later after I go through this. I threw in some helpful articles that I found recently that maybe will help you guys use it or lose it. And then we'll talk about what we're doing in the fall. Kristen and I have some stuff planned for you guys, and then we can start getting into what you guys are doing, how you're going to use the Canvas materials, since you have that whole nice platform of stuff to choose from now. And then just we can brainstorm and bounce things off of each other for moving forward. So, couple articles. The first one, I saw this one called Stop Grading Everything, and I linked it up at the top so you guys can click on that later. But it was done by a science teacher, and he talked about in his class, you know, I suffered from it too. You always want to take everything up, and the kids want to grade for everything, but then they don't really want to grade for everything. So you can do some things to kind of trade off. So he listed his kind of quick 5 things, and I kind of summarized it. So the first one, he said, just get them to a point where they value striving for the grade and striving for knowledge, and emphasize the fact that really you guys are in it together and you're there to suffer through it with them and help them through and get them to a point where they understand everything. So try to make them understand that it's about more than the grade, and you'll get the grade if you do the understanding and get there that way. He said collecting things doesn't have to mean that they're graded. So he would take things up and ask kids, you know, like, oh, I'm going to put this in the grade book. And they're like, wait, no, I did horribly on it. And he's like, well, why did you do horribly on it? What was bad? What do you need help with? And then basically, a lot of times kids they'll explain their confidence level to you. And so you can just say, okay, well, what about this didn't you understand? So what do we need to remediate from here? And that's more effective than actually grading it in some situations. He said only grade certain problems. And I would do that for my students too. I'd say, look, these are the 5 that I'm actually going to grade, but you better have the rest done. So make sure you pick the questions that are meeting the most important.
I don't think you need to even tell them.
Yeah,
I don't think you need to tell them.
Yeah.
I think you get better stuff if you don't, in many cases.
Yeah, and I guess it just depends. You can see how your students do with it, and maybe you say, like, I need to see perfect performance on these problems. You know, and right, it may just depend on the kids, or say, I'm not telling you which ones, you better have it all perfect. But that will save you time grading. Just check 3 to 5. It makes for an easy grade.
That's the only way I grade. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's impossible for me to grade everything.
Yeah,
but they never know.
I did that.
They never know what I'm picking out. They never know. I'll look for completeness, of course, and quality. If they're throwing garbage up there, you know, that's pretty obvious. But then I'll pick for, you know, accuracy. I'll pick, you know, 10 problems out of 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of these things too, especially when we're talking about lab protocol based stuff. I mean, we're talking about multiple steps, so it could be 100 problems. So,
right.
Yeah, good point though.
Have to be selective.
You do.
And then the next one, he said using confidence for formative assessment. So getting back to having them grade it with somebody else nearby, and have them, instead of telling you what they made on the assignment, tell their confidence. The guy's name is Koch or Koch. So he made the Koch scale of confidence from 1 to 14 or 0 to 14. 0 being you have no confidence that you could do this again, versus 14 being like, yeah, I could do this skill. I've like got it down. And he said for whatever reason, kids are way more honest about their confidence level on things than they are about, you know, admitting their grades. So he's found that super helpful. And then the last one, using groupthink to reduce scoring. So have them grade each other's, but then the other student has to reteach whatever the student missed on their assignment. So that article is there for you guys to come back to. The next one, there was an article in the AJC from a Georgia Tech scientist. It was more geared toward college level, obviously, but there are some things that maybe you can take out of it. So if you want to scan it, it's there. But he basically made the case, because he is one of the people that does the computer science MOOC. So their online master's program that has, I think it's like 6,000 people worldwide every year. So he was talking about with online instruction, creating symmetrical experiences. So maybe like as far as your students go, if there are a couple that live in the same neighborhood, maybe they get together to do the lessons together in some capacity. He recommended they try to do these kind of satellite locations where you have just all the participants with a TA, and then they're kind of all watching the lecture together. So if there's some way to kind of like bring that into your classroom or into your environment as you're doing digital learning.
I think a lot of parents are attempting that.
Yeah, that's true.
Certainly in my area, they're already forming pods and with a TA. Like one of my first grader, we've got her in one because we're going digital, and it's a UGA grad who's getting her master's in elementary ed, and she's going to be the assistant while the regular classroom teacher does virtual instruction.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is great. I don't know what I'm going to do with the other 2 kids or how I'm going to afford it, because we're
God
for that. But
you may never go back after this. You know, I tell you what'll help me a lot is to have choices for remote, you know, streaming stuff or video captures for experts and things. We've talked about this before. I may be getting ahead of myself. Y'all probably have this on here somewhere. But yeah, that, you know, the more of that stuff, these are, you know, it's kind of like a tool belt. You don't know what tool you need until you need it. You know, until you see what's broke. And it's going to be pandemonium the first month, I can tell you, as if we even last a month, which I don't think we will in person. But you know, it's those types of things to break it up and to make it interesting and to always have something fresh. And especially in biotechnology, I can tell it's a huge deal to have those experts. And it doesn't have to be long. I mean, we're talking 10, 15 minutes even. In fact, in some cases, it's better, really.
Yeah,
have it no more than
shorter bits.
So
that was our attempt with that speaker last week, is for you to take a snippet of that and show it to your class, and at whatever time you need. So whether it's the presentation on the positions available, or just talking about that guy's, like that great story he told about attention to detail when he was in vet school, and how he learned, okay, this is why I need to be methodical. And
that's right. And the life lesson stuff, like you said, the soft skill stuff, don't ever forget that. Those are huge. So, yeah, cool.
So we're happy to keep throwing resources at you, definitely. I I know Lee shared their BioRad classroom, and I'll make sure I get that on our teacher resource thing, and maybe we can work on revamping that and really organizing things a bit more. And Amanda shared her whole list of like lab simulations the other week, so we can kind of get that all into one central location for you guys. That's definitely on the list. Okay. And then my next slide was, hey, recorded lectures. So we've kind of thrown around some ideas. I know I've talked to Elizabeth Proctor a lot about what she does in her classroom. And she's been kind of using the recorded lectures anyway to flip the classroom and have the students do the kind of prep work at home and then get ready to come do the lab when they can actually be in. But maybe you have them do some of the prep work at home and then do the simulation for now, and then hopefully whenever they come back in, they can work with the real thing. She suggested, you know, using the BioRad videos that are already there. They have pipetting, they have all the things. Have them watch that video as a pre-lab. You can use programs like Nearpod to put in that video, and then you can actually insert questions at different points. So you could give them checkpoints with the pre-lab questions as they walk through a video, or you could do a recording of yourself going through a lecture and then have them answer questions at specific points. So those are some kind of things that you guys can work on. I'm sure if we come across any that are already done that you can steal, I'll let you know. I'll post it. But Elizabeth is really familiar with Nearpod, and I'm sure she'd be happy to like answer questions if you guys need to email her about that. We'll try to get her to do a training if there's interest. So y'all can let us know. And I didn't actually insert that survey link, Kristen, but I will before I email it out. I'm putting together a survey of how we can help you guys a little bit more. So I'll send that out when I send out the PowerPoint from this with the recording later. So our plans for what we're doing in the fall to help you guys, we talked about the careers. So we're going to have continue our STEM Careers in Georgia series. So we have a couple that are on the calendar. We're working on firming up the dates and times, but we will put them all on the new website. And so I put the link for the website here. It's on the Georgia Bio site, but yeah, you can click on it later and go to it. It is under construction, but I wanted to make sure you had the link to that. So we will put the recording for Mark's thing last Friday on there. I'm basically gonna do, there's a section for upcoming where we'll list the upcoming ones, and then at the bottom you'll have the previous ones that have happened with the recordings. So we have Alpha Genomics on August 21st at 10 a.m. That one is already on the books. So that is, Kristen has scheduled that with Hani, what is his last name?
El-Shawa.
El-Shawa, okay. And so they do, right now they're doing PCR testing, but they also do all kinds of genetic testing. They're doing the COVID testing for PCR right now.
So when is that one? I'm looking at it here. Which one is that?
August 21st, Alpha Genomics.
Oh, I think I've already got that down there. You know, I'm having a hard time keeping up with who is who on all these webinar things, though.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense to aggregate all this stuff because I've got, you know, I'll go, oh, that looks cool, and I'll hit it, and then it'll show up on my calendar and go, what the heck is that thing again? So, and I have limited time. You know, I've got limited time to do it, and especially if we're going to be in school. So I'm going to have to really, you know, pick and choose. Can I interject something here while I'm thinking about it? I'm sorry, I'm ADD as I'll get out today, but it made me think when you were saying that, Megan. What if we collaborate as biotech and bio teachers, and we feature teachers from around the state to stream in our class?
Well, that can be a classroom. It'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because now you got. It could be a lab. It could be, you know, some sort of combinatorial type of thing that we do. It doesn't really matter if it fits what you're doing, and you have something where you say, hey guys, you know, we're going to be doing these things at regular. Now here's obviously the rub there. if you're going to do it live, it has to be at different times because we have different classes and things like that.
Yeah. Well,
but
maybe
we can
that's
certainly
an
capture it and stream it.
thing.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could do a morning thing and you could do an afternoon thing. It's going to really vary depending on, everybody has different schedules, whether it's, 7 periods or if you're running semesters. So, block schedule. But I think you can work all that out. I mean, you just say, hey, here's when we're offering. And if you have to capture it and just watch it later, you can, but it's always cooler to do it live. I think the kids respond to that. They can ask the questions. You can have them kind of blogging on the side, kind of like I've noticed that the longer these professional workshops go on, the crazier the question strings get. Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
And they're great. It's good, but you're sitting here watching this thing and all of a sudden, bloop, here comes up they're chatting on the side. I'm like, oh my God, you're as bad as my 10th graders.
Yeah.
But, so
well,
they
the
enjoy
people
it.
who meant to send it private, but send it to everyone. Yeah.
Right. I can't keep up with the string. I'm like, oh my gosh, boy, there's a lot of conversations going on.
But yeah, that's
anyway, sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's definitely on our radar too. But we don't have anything kind of on the books yet, so we can definitely.
That's okay. Write it down.
I
want royalties. That's all. I just want 10% royalties. That's all. Yeah,
10% of zero is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I'm used to drawing that kind of money. So.
Yeah. Well, I give you stuff. I do what I can.
Y'all are great.
What is the best platform for communication? So there's not one list of all the biotech teachers that exist in Georgia. We are trying to compile everyone that we learn about. Everybody doesn't do Facebook, but we could do a Facebook page or group. We could do Canvas. We can do a different app. Do either of you have suggestions on what would be the best platform to use for this? Because I think just that communication alone, specifically biotech, would be really helpful. I know there are lots of STEM groups and a chemistry group, a bio group, whatever, GSTA, but.
Yeah. So, here's y'all have heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. Keep it simple. We use Google Classroom. And I use Google Drive. I mean, and I think it's ubiquitous. So whenever I have to go to Canvas is really not intuitive. It's thorough. It offers a ton of stuff, but I always have to rip whatever's off of that and download it onto my personal drive anyway. So I'm going through a couple of steps, that's not necessarily that easy sometimes when they're large files, especially videos. So, listen, you do the best you can. You guys are doing a great job with that. I think we do have, the Facebook page is a good one. But I think in this case, I don't think you have to be all things to all people. I think what you can do is you can pick the folks that are going to do a good job and just kind of put them on a stinking email list, and say, hey, guys, here's what we're going to do, nominate people. I mean, we now, some of the master teachers that have done some of these workshops, we'll go, oh, she'd be great. Get Janet to do that. I know she's great at that. And nominate some other teachers that or people that might want to step in. It doesn't even have to be biotech, but something related, something in that universe, or local businesses. So that's a way to kind of organically and grassroots get some ideas, of pulling people in that you would never otherwise know about. From different locales, from the community too. And, and all this stuff, once again, this is all blue skying, but but you'd be surprised at what pops out of it. You just can't, in my opinion, with teachers, especially at the beginning of the year, you can't hit them over the head with it because they got bigger fish to fry. They're just trying to get through the day and making sure their lessons are out the door and they're complying with whatever administration's asking for them. But the tools there, if you say, hey guys, this is not really a burden on you, it's more of a resource for you to offload some of your work, and it's on topics that you're going to be doing anyway. It's win-win. All you got to do is one of these things every 5 weeks or whatever it might be, and help me out, and I'll help you out, and we'll provide some unique original content. And I've found that a lot of the folks in our surrounding area, business community, love doing this. They love telling you about their companies. I mean, it's free advertising, and once again, they want the workforce to be grown.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion. I do it with my class, but I could use a lot more. I'm in a little town, so I would really like some big time city slickers in there. Need some heavy hitters. Got to have some heavy hitters in there. So yeah, that's my opinion. So just saying. Yeah. So I threw a lot at you there. I know you're writing down everything I'm saying because it's brilliant, but whatever. Just I think just make it simple. Oh, okay, great, excellent.
Yeah, always recording you, Stan.
I got to talk
Don't
less. I'll talk less. All right, sorry.
Well, thank you.
Continue.
No, and that's definitely on the radar. And Kristen and I have discussed, traditionally we have the visiting scientist program where scientists come in and share the research with classes, but we're dealing with Zoom right now. So we're going to see if we can get some people maybe on a list to say hey, these people are available to schedule with your class. Trisha Peterson reached out to her volunteer from RTTI, Bijan Ford. He's at Emory and does immunology. And she said, hey, can you just come Zoom with my class? And so in the spring, he just came and hung out with them for their hour of class and talked about COVID testing and how the body reacts as far as they knew in April and, all that. And the kids really got a lot out of listening to him. So we'll try to get together a list of, people that would be willing to do that kind of thing that you can contact directly. Y'all had both asked me about forensics, and I reached out to my friend and she hasn't replied yet. So I'll keep bothering her.
Yeah, that's good.
So, okay. So the next thing, we have our new equipment depot. So we're going to do a big grand opening on August 27th. It will be sometime in the afternoon so that y'all can attend after your students when you're done with them. So we'll do some nice teacher giveaways and you guys will hear more about the depot and get a tour of what's in there right now. We'll talk about the procedures moving forward, especially with COVID. We can't really do depot days having everybody in there. So we'll do kind of a request and then a pickup system. So I'll explain that in more detail on August 27th. If there is anything that you guys need in the meantime, please let me know. If there's a specific supply that you're looking for. Just let me know and I'll earmark it for you guys. And then upcoming workshops. So Kristen and I just met yesterday to redo our Going Viral as a virtual series. And so it'll be, we will have synchronous portions Monday, I think we said Monday from 4:15 to 6:15. And those sessions will go through basically all the same. We were going to do some of it online and then some of it as a 2-day in person, but now it'll be all online systems where we'll send all of the supplies to your house or school. And you can work from your house or from your school to run through the lab with us in real time. And then have some homework to come back. Like PCR, you have to load it and then wait. So you'll just wait and then store it until the next meeting type thing. So I put the link to the website there, but we need to update it. I have not updated it since we revised the format. So I'll do that, but please check back, bookmark that, and check back in with us if you think you should have heard something else about it and haven't. But that will be going out in our newsletter. So you guys are both on the constant contact list. So you get the BioEd newsletter thing when I send it out.
It is free. It is free, and we made some changes according to the last training too. So if you last training you got supplies to implement with one of your classes, this time you will get enough supplies to implement with all the sections of that class. So if you teach 3 AP bios and that's where you want to implement, you'll get enough for each of those sections to help out with planning, and instead of you one section that's different than the rest, that's a pain. So we built that into the budget, and a small and so it's free and with the stipend for rural teachers. We are looking for some industry sponsorship for those who are not rural, but both of you guys fall into that. So you're okay. Spalding's kind of on the cusp, but we can justify.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to say this is geared toward bacterial and viral transmission in plants and animals. So it's an ideal course if you have some other pathway teachers, environmental science, animal science that would like to infuse some biotech. It's a good time for that. So colleagues that might be interested in that, this is a good one. And it'll start out with some of the basics on your own. So like you guys are proficient at pipetting, you won't have to do that segment, but for somebody that's not, they can do that and be brought up to speed to be able to participate in the rest of it.
Cool.
Yep. And so if you know there are a couple teachers at your school or in your area, if you want to have them all come to your school to do it kind of like as a cohort, like we were talking about with the satellite locations, you could have them just come and we'll send all of you guys the materials to work together through the lab.
That's cool.
Yeah. We're trying to adapt to changing times.
Right.
And so that'll be kind of the first iteration of our TTI this year. And so we are going to continue that and kind of work our way around the state with different regions and industries. But Kristen and I are still working out what that will look like moving forward. So just keep your ear out. We'll keep putting it in the newsletter and posting on Facebook and our new Instagram and all that. So, and then the last thing, if you guys are interested in specific workshops, I'll put that in the survey, but we could do a specific standalone workshop on any topic and just walk through like virtual resources or how can I do the lab, maybe do the lab for my students or have my students come pick up materials. Catherine Ward last week on one of the Innovate calls shared a PDF document that she's done for how do we do virtual labs at home and, you know, what does the safety look like for that? So her district came up with this entire thing. It's a one-sided PDF, but basically walking through the guidelines for sending supplies home for students to work with. So some of their guidelines were any of the chemicals, they have to be able to buy them at a grocery store or a drugstore. So they would have to be available if they needed to go get them, but you're going to send them. You have to provide the MSDS. They have to like watch a safety video beforehand, sign a safety contract so that you have all of these kind of things in line, just like you would in your classroom to allow them to do labs at home. So I will send that out and post it and see if I can get some more information from Catherine. I just want to make sure she's okay with me posting that all over the internet too.
Yeah, awesome.
But I think it was her entire district worked together with maybe even somebody from the state level, I think in Texas or Colorado, one of the two. But so it's gotten, you know, upper level approval already. It's not just like one teacher put it together. So, but we'll try to get all of those resources for you guys. I can probably throw it in that Google Drive that I already made.
Cool.
But yeah, so as you think of things, feel free to email us and say like, hey, this would be really cool. And we'll, you know, gauge if there's enough interest and get a group together for it. Cool. So reach out. I will post the survey on this last slide. A little bit about what you guys want to do moving forward. If you like doing this kind of thing, we could do meetups and like Stan said, maybe go from classroom to classroom and kind of walk through some tours of what people have going on, etc. Let us know what'll help you. I'll put the survey link here where it says, please fill out this survey. Just didn't get there yet. You know the deal. So, if you guys have anything you want to share as far as what you're planning for the fall, I know Stan they think they're going back to school next week in person. Now, Lisa, you said yours is online.
No, we're going We're going back September 8th, so they delayed it in person though, face to face. Parents
they
have
think
a
they're
choice.
just all coming back.
All coming back. But I think it's going to be a drop off once. No, I think kids just really think they're going to come back and it's going to be just like it was before COVID. And I think once they figure out with all the regulations and eating in the classrooms and the lack of movement, they're going to drop off and go digital.
Yeah.
So you guys are giving them the option after the fact, huh?
No, but they're going to take it. No, I just don't think. No.
Good
it
point.
Was due last week, but we have a high absentee rate as it is before COVID. So I think once they kind of figure it out, and then jobs want these kids in, they work at Walmart and Kroger, and they're getting extra money. They're like, oh, school's not as fun as I thought it was going to be. They miss their friends, but it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a little bit different. I don't think they're going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. What system are you in?
This is Griffin Spalding, some south of Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're down the road from us. You're not that far down.
Oh,
I mean, I live in Newton County, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but it's just chaos. Our superintendent decided he was gonna retire in October, so he's going out.
He said, "I've had enough."
We got a brand new one too. Ours is brand new. Wow. Talk about a bag of snakes, inheriting a bag of snakes.
Yeah.
When did
It'll be fun.
When did your super retire?
Last year. So I haven't even met our superintendent yet. So actually ours, Dr. Woodard is now the director of FFA nationally. So he's FFA. I can't remember. One of those, but it's a big national appointment. So
yeah.
Nice retirement gift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know our principal went out too, though. Our principal went out in January, so we had a sub. And they just hired a new principal, so he came in like July 5th.
Oh, wow. Have fun with that.
It's gonna be chaos.
It's gonna be something.
Well, I guess you got an extra month to figure it out, so at least there's that.
Go ahead and journal. Just go ahead and journal.
Yeah.
Helps
but I
with
do have a
sanity.
question. What would labs kind of look like? So we're in COVID. We have the social distancing. You really work in groups, but now you can't wipe down. We don't have enough supplies to be wiping down stuff. I mean, I can't really do it individually. I just don't have enough supplies to have 27 kids. I had like 3 groups of 27, right? They can't do it individually. What is a group?
Well, I mean, go ahead and speak to that too.
So we can send you gloves. I did get like 15,000 pairs of surgical gloves of varying sizes recently. So I was thinking maybe you have them do it individually, but like everybody uses the same like set of supplies and they just alternate who's at the station maybe. Yeah.
No, it's kind of like in my head. That's what I'm trying to work out. Like labs are part of my course. I love them. I do them like 2 a week. But what does that really look like when they didn't give me really clean supplies before COVID, right? So I was always hustling. Yeah. Now that you have to a kid touches it, they're asymptomatic, but and they love gloves because they think they're all like popping them. I don't want to waste.
Lisa, what I'll tell you what I do, and you probably already know this, but I'll use reagents. I'll use dye or stuff to represent certain things that are cheap, and so I especially if it's my Biotech 1 class, and even some of the other ones. I look for ways to cut corners because even though I have a pretty good budget and I have expensive reagents, I don't want to burn them until we get to a certain point. I have a feeling that by the time you guys actually open up, you're probably going to be offering that virtual ahead of time, right? And you're going to have half of your students out anyway. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still waiting.
So our school is 1,500, 750 signed up to do virtual.
Oh, did they? Okay. So you probably won't have 27 in a class then, will you?
No, my roster is 27.
Oh, really?
Crazy. Yes. We have our rosters out. I know it's in my class. People have like 30. I'm like, where are these kids coming from?
Are they having some of the teachers do all the virtual and you're doing all in school?
Yes.
Is that why? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're taking applications now for the virtual teachers. And so yeah, we have virtual teachers and we have in class.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. We've got to do both concurrently.
Really? Ooh.
Are they giving you a webcam to set up in the corner so that your students can be in there?
I don't know anything. I know nothing.
Great. There's nothing to know.
There's nothing to know
in our classroom.
I will find out when I show up next Monday for my pre-planning. We'll see what my class, load looks like and everything else. Yeah. So, like I told you guys earlier, our system is like that. They're going to wait until the last minute. They don't want to play their hand until they have to and figure out which way the wind's blowing. But, I think we can all agree that it's, the whole in-person thing during a hotspot is probably not going to work out so well long term. So,
it's crazy.
It is. But we do what we can.
Yeah.
That works though. I think that's going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking at doing the DNA, like just getting like the electrophoresis, because it's like, it's environmental science. So it's not like a biotech course. I just want to put it in there because it's 12th graders and they've seen all the easy stuff. And we have ecology in 9th grade. They've taken biology in 10th grade. And now I need another science to take. So I'm going to use, I know like, I was planning to use electrophoresis and use the soap dishes. And I was like, oh, maybe I can send those home. Our budget's small. We have a little tiny budget. I think we get like $300 per class, per like content area. But I wrote this little grant. So I have $1,000 of grant money I wrote to try to get some stuff.
Well, and the most expensive part of that is the 9-volt batteries.
Right, and I'm like, the kids can get those. They all work. They're 18.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can make them. It's still like $10 worth of batteries to do a soap dish.
Wow.
But you could also, you get like 4 to 5 runs out of one set of batteries. So you could do something like have the kids pick up the supplies, use the consumables, but then return the batteries and the dish and the whatever and sanitize it for the next group and then move on.
Yeah, that might work. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a BioRad kit called IDEA, and you could probably just get the replacement reagents for it. But the only thing that would be important there is to get dyes, certain types of dyes you use as markers for that, and use those as markers for certain species or genuses for animals if it's environmental science. And then you can get from even candies. This is what we do anyway. And I'll just take the cover off the candies for different colored candies and then run those and see what it matches up to. So you could almost do like an eDNA type of, just to get that concept across. Okay, we've gotten a sample from our local water system and we're going to see what's in the water. Which ones match up and use the dyes as an exemplar of actual DNA. And it's pretty too. Kids like it because, it's rainbow colors. It's cool.
Yeah, cool. So you could just pipette them out like a premix dye thing and have them run it. That would be awesome.
That might actually be in the Canvas because I remember coming across some lesson and I don't know where else I would have seen it other than there.
Well, it's in our PTO Canvas, and then it's also on Canvas under Stan's, when we did the DNA profiling, he added Trisha's lab in there. So it has the recipe for the one that she used, which was like the Flynn kit. They have a kit that's called a process to dye for, DYE for. And I took the dyes out of that, and then those are the ones that she had used, and then she has a whole recipe for like how to mix them to get them to like produce a certain banding pattern.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You mix the dyes, and then you see them separate out at different sizes, obviously. But the cool thing about what she's talking about is you can adapt this particular lab to make it localized. You can take actual species that are found in your creeks and rivers and lakes, which are probably going to be the same ones as mine, but you can adapt them and make them real for them. I mean, I know you got some fishermen in the group.
No, tons. We go in the creek in the back of the school, all them little creek chubs.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
got tons of creek chubs.
That's what we call horny heads. We have a horny head fishing tournament in New Bern, Georgia, right down the road from me. It's quite a spectacle.
Wow.
Yeah, and they actually eat them. They'll fry them up. They'll fry up these little creek chubs.
No.
Oh, I wouldn't lie to you. It's crazy. It's a whole festival. I mean, it's fun. You know, it's big fun.
Wow. That's cool, though. Thank you. That's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Any other brainstorming? What else needs to be covered? So, well, and Stan, for biotech, you have Amanda sent that whole list of all the simulations too. So you can have them simulate if they end up going home instead of being in person.
That's great.
So
Thank you, Amanda.
I've seen a couple of the pipetting ones are pretty decent. They make you actually follow all the steps, and like you have to push first stop versus second stop.
That's right.
And so it gives them some idea of what they would be feeling for when they actually use a pipette, which is nice.
That's good. That's why I like the HHMIs as well. The Howard Hughes Medical, the biointeractive. They actually build in errors, which is lifelike. You know, they're like, hey, why didn't I get the same results as this guy? Like, well, go back.
Yeah, so if you have any favorites, send those along and I'll link to them where everybody else can see them too.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, and then the last section, I know, Stan, you haven't spent as much time with Canvas, but if you guys have any ideas about like specific things you're going to steal off of Canvas or from Innovate, like anything that you've seen that you're like, I'm going to use that in my classroom now, feel free to share.
I like Edpuzzle. I never really heard. I've heard of it, but I never saw Edpuzzle in person. I like that for like bell ringers or like the last 15 minutes of class just to do like summaries. So I really like that. Edpuzzle is going to be it. I like it. I'm not really trying to do a lot of paper stuff. When these kids have Chromebooks, I'm trying to keep everything, you know, you use your Chromebook like a scientist, take it in the lab, you're doing this because I don't want the paper. Who knows? You know, the kid could be, just don't know. So I'm not
their stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to touch their stuff. I don't want them to touch my stuff. Just keep it.
Well, yeah, and that's a good way to like tie in that, you know, some of these businesses that you work for have moved completely digitally with lab notebooks and things. So, you know, you would need to submit it through a very similar system.
Yeah, they're forcing us to turn stuff in on Google Classroom. And of course, I've already moved all my tests onto Google Classroom, which they give you instant, you know, grading.
Right.
Shows you percentages of where everybody missed on certain. So it's, you know, it's powerful. And so we're going to focus, our school is going to focus a lot of time on maximizing using that platform, Google Classroom.
Oh, good. I was just going to ask that, what kind of training, because obviously you keep up with it and there are pockets of teachers that are, but there are pockets of teachers who are fearful to even try.
Yeah, so I could maybe do something if people want to. I mean, I know it well enough for certain things. I'm sure I'm about to get a crash course on everything. But
we'll ask you next week, right?
Yeah, well, give me a couple of weeks. My head stops spinning, but it is powerful. I mean, they're turning it in, and you know, they're turning it in on the platform, and I can see who turned it in and when, and I can mark it and send it back.
Make comments.
Yeah, that we've tied it into our system too. We have the Infinite Campus system, and we can even tie it into automatic grading. They have this little tie-in, back-end sort of thing called Little Sis, I think is the name of the programming system. But so we even tie in grading, which scares me a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Everything's going that way. This just is accelerating, I think, what was going to happen anyway. This whole flipped classroom virtual deal was coming. It was just this is just
pushed it.
It's making it real. Yeah, it is. So yes, I can help out with Google Classroom somewhat, and even if I can't answer some, I'll bring one of our crackerjack teachers that have been doing it, using it even more than me, and maybe I can pull them along for a little session. So,
Cool.
Cool.
But you know, I mean, it's Google platform. Who's not using it now? And who's not saving stuff from Google Drive?
Well, because you have that unlimited Google Drive.
Yeah, right.
All of my
It's
stuff is
Google
on
everything.
Google Drive.
Google
Yeah,
everything.
it's unlimited for in that education. If your whole district, you have unlimited storage capacity.
So
That's right. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
why not?
I find
Right.
it-
Why not? Right, free.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, and I think, so as far as Innovate goes, I think I've shared everything with you guys that I've caught in random passing sessions, but I'll try to keep doing that. I definitely did not watch all the sessions or nearly all the sessions. I participated in some, obviously, with Stan, but yeah, so as you guys come across things, if you're running back through any of that, you know, send it to me. I'll post it in a central location. Anything that you're like, oh, this would be really good for other teachers to have, you know, feel free to send it along. And I've showed you guys, I try to, as I see articles that are relevant to you, I try to save them. So, yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
It's
So, definitely share with me. I'll share with everybody else. Kristen and I are happy to be kind of that point of contact to like get information out to everybody else. We are here to try to make your life easier. Since I'm no longer in the classroom, I know how painful it is. And I can't even begin to imagine with like what's going on right now. But you know, we're here to support you guys. So tell us how we can support you.
It works. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you guys. So I will let you go since there is the 1 p.m. session. And the 1 p.m. one, if you go on Canvas and go to the conferences, there should be a link there to join. They're using like the big blue button thing that's in there now. So you can go join the national session, which is basically, I think, supposed to be a repeat of this. Just basically, how can we plan for the upcoming school year?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
there's that. And then I emailed you guys all the sessions on Thursday, including Janet's session at 4 p.m. talking about iGEM and how she runs it in her class and how you could bring that program in or put it on the radar as something to bring into your class in future years.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Hey guys, I'm probably not going to be able to attend anything else for the rest of the week.
Yeah,
Just
fair.
saying, because
Well,
we're
I'll
so
see you
excited.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we'll see tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, throw anything across the fence. If there's something in particular you think it might be relevant to me or whatever, just kind of bring my attention to it. I know that's asking a lot, but I'm going to be pulling my
Back
hair
to
out.
school.
Yeah, well, I'm actually giving plasma too. Because I'm got over my COVID, so I'm giving plasma, and I'm going to find out a lot more about the whole antibody thing. As you know,
well,
the
and
density
I donated
quality.
last Sunday, so I'm waiting to get my antibody results to see if I have it because I donated with Red Cross. So if you donate before the end of the month, they do an antibody test included. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I told y'all this or not, but I was on a CMAT call with Dr. Anthony Fauci and got to chat in a question that he answered about immunity.
Wow.
Which was that was cool.
Nice.
And they don't really know. I mean, there's new studies out there, but they're just not sure. So I'm having this in a dialogue. Huh?
The time frame, it's just too quick to really be able to make long-term assessments.
It is. Yeah. It is, but what he said was just common sense. He said, look, it's a coronavirus like the cold, and these things usually don't last that long, 2 months, 3 months, if you're lucky. And a lot of the studies are showing now that people that get light cases aren't building up a real immune response anyway. Of course, there's other things. There's killer T cells and things like that they're showing maybe are imbuing some immunity. But from my standpoint as a teacher, it would be great for me to feel like I've got my, free pass card going in, walking around with these little walking Petri dishes and not getting sick.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. But especially since I had to go get my daughter. She has lupus. We had to get her from Alpharetta. She's working, remotely, but she's getting the heck out of Dodge, and because they're blowing up there and no one's really paying attention. So she's down here. So I've got to, you know, I'm really wrestling. I mean, these are things, these are also issues we ought to be talking about is what are you going to do if you got a high risk category person living in your house? And you're a teacher. I mean, so I'm hoping I'm going to get some really good news tomorrow, but I'll let you guys know. I'm kind of like doing my journaling and keeping up with stuff and more information you possibly want to know on the subject. But I'll, you know, we'll see. And I can probably speak to that too at some point because from personal experience.
Yeah.
Do y'all know anybody else that has had COVID personally, friends of y'all's or family
Not
members?
personally, just you.
You probably
I
will.
do. So.
On the street, so.
I did have a friend from high school that her entire family got it, and she wound up losing uncle and her grandmother. So.
Oh wow.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was she's going through a tough time right now.
Yeah, that's rough.
You know, I bet. I just found out I have 2 friends that were in ICU early on, didn't know about it, and came that close to, you know, checking out. So, and they're in my same age group. So that's, you know, that's kind of a hit. And now I know a lot of people that have it now. But yeah, we just hope that, you know, you're in that whatever percentile it is that get lucky, 70%, whatever it might be, 75.
Yeah.
So,
Well, y'all
a lot more to pass in this subject matter. So, well, I appreciate y'all's help, guys.
Yeah,
really,
thank you so much, everyone.
It's been awesome.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for coming and participating, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Thanks, Amanda.